Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I am going to talk about Qigong manifestation. This is a pretty useful tool, but the first thing I need to say is I am not a Qigong or Batsa expert, or even close. I have taken a class in Qigong, so I know more about that, and I know how to do a manifestation. I know a fair amount about your natal Qigong chart. But the biggest thing that Qigong is used for is forecasting, which is very difficult to do. It takes a lot of practice to get good at. So I don't do any forecasting. And I do absolutely nothing with understanding how to analyze a batsa. So you just have to find somebody else for that. But Qigong manifestation is a key feature of the Qigong Dongjia school. It is it can be very, very useful, and it can help you reach your goals. That's the whole purpose of doing this. Now, manifestation is recognized as you are speaking to your subconscious, and the same is true of affirmations. I haven't had success with either in the past. Affirmations, I swear my subconscious is deaf. It just doesn't work for me. And after I learn more, I think I have an explanation why. And I've covered that a little bit in another video, but I'll cover it more here. You will have a certain level of natural ability to succeed in performing Qigong manifestations. It will be somewhere between 0 and 100%. And of course, if it's 0, you really don't have a measurable ability. But that's from your natal Qigong chart. You still have your luck pillars to look at. There is an exception in terms of this, in terms of looking at elements, but if your guardian spirit is the chief or the nine heavens, you tend to have a naturally high ability. They do act a little differently. For the nine heavens, you have to envision what you want to happen. And you say to this spirit, I want you to help me have this kind of future. And then you envision that future. You have to see it in your mind. Whereas the chief, you can just make a statement. And so it's a little easier with the chief. You can make a statement, you can envision it, you can do it anyway, because the chief is able to deal with more than the nine heavens. Now, your guardian spirit will be listed on your Qigong natal chart. Now, this is often called a destiny chart, but it's not your destiny. Even Joey Yap and his group stresses time and time again that the Batsa is not your fate. Well, your Qigong is not your destiny either. It does tell you, however, your natural level of certain skills in certain subjects. And you can always go beyond what your chart says if you work hard enough. So this is something that is available to everybody. Now, for everybody else who doesn't have the chief or the nine heavens, you need to know your day master and a level of a particular element in your elemental breakdown, which I will talk about in the next slide. And it comes from this table. This is a standard table that's used in Batsa. It's a combination of some sort. You want to find your day master here, and then you look over here at the element. Now, you're going to have to be able to recognize the elements in Chinese, because most of the places I've looked at only list this breakdown in terms of the Chinese character. They don't say yang earth or yin earth or any of these things. They just put down the Chinese character because it's a lot shorter. Now, I think these look very, very different. But, you may want to take a snapshot of this so that you can refer to it again and again to see exactly what. I would say that probably The two that are most confusing might be this one and this one, but maybe this one, certain people have more issues with certain things, but it'll be one of these. And I think they're different enough that it's not hard to figure out. But, it might be for others. Now, if you want to have an easy way to remember this chart if you lose this chart or whatever, it's actually pretty simple. You basically start with the yang and then the yin of whatever element. It usually starts with wood, so it's wood, the yang, and then the yin wood, and then it's in the cycle of growth in the clockwise direction. So it's wood, fire, earth, metal, water, back to wood. And you just look at the one that's opposite it. That is how this table is created. It's not really a clash. Although perhaps some may call it some sort of clash, but it's just, this is the element you need to balance it, basically. I think that's what they're getting at. And this is color-coded, but not because it means anything. It's just color-coded to show you I definitely mean the one across from it, so that there is no, if you did this all in black, it just looks a little confusing. It looks like it could point anywhere. Now, the entities that make up any Batsa chart have elements associated with them. And what you're looking for here is your Batsa, not your Chimin chart. And the heaven and hidden stems are already elements themselves, so obviously they contribute. But your animal signs also have elements associated with them in two ways. One will be the part of the cycle that you're in. So, example, if you were born in the year of the rat, you could be a wood rat, a fire rat, you could be any element rat. So there's an element there. But then there is a separate table that identifies the animals with a certain element that has nothing to do with the cycle. And then there is another table that lists heaven stems, and they can associate them with the animal signs. And then again, you could say, okay, that animal sign will tell us about the second type, the second part of this. So that can yet add another layer of elements. Now, these last two charts can be found at the fengshui.com website if you're interested. The wonderful thing is you don't have to care about this. Other people have done this calculation for you. I certainly don't know how to do it. You can get it in two places that are pretty easy. The Chinese Metasoft site, if you've not used it before, they have a free period of trial, which you can probably get done what you want to get done. But even the year subscription is only like $68. So if you're going to use the three victories, which I will be talking about, you would probably want to have a regular source of this. And this is a pretty cheap one, and it does a very good job. Now, they will give you two different analyses of this, and they're given in bars and in numbers. You want to note the numbers. And it does it in a certain way. It tells you under each element how much you have it as a total of your elements. Now, the profiles, which is on the bottom right of the second page in the Joey Yap analysis, gives us in the percentage of maximum amount of that element that's possible, or something. I mean, to me, this isn't entirely clear how he does this. But, and I don't know his method. I assume it's his own method, but I can't guarantee that. Again, you don't really need to care too much about the number, but this number here from Joey Yap will be very different than the numbers you're going to get from the Chinese Metasoft site. It doesn't matter. You're trying to compare apples and oranges, and it just doesn't work. So you just look at the number in general. In general, it's true, the lower that the number is, the weaker your ability to easily, successfully manifest. But as long as it's non-zero, you have some natural ability. And if it's non-zero, it's easier for you to improve that over time. Again, if your guardian spirit is chief or nine heavens, you are good. You can ignore this table. Just don't pay any attention to it. This happens to be my breakdown. And you can see at the Chinese Metasoft site, we have two different people who analyze it slightly differently. The numbers can be significantly different, but you're not really looking at absolute numbers. You just want to know whether they're kind of on the low side or are they in the medium. This is actually probably very high. And for the Joey Yap site, this is given in percentages of the maximum possible, which again, I don't understand how that's done. But these numbers are very different than these. These will add up. Each column adds up to actually 101, which is a rounding error. You're probably going to have your numbers add up to 99, 100, or 101. And any of this is fine. This number doesn't add up to anything that makes any sense. So don't worry about it. You're just looking, are they on the low side or are they on the high side? And that's all you really need to worry about. Hopefully you have non-zero. This is me. I'm a yin wood day master. I need yang metal, and my yang metal, everybody agrees, is 0%. So my subconscious is effectively deaf, and that's how it does feel. And my hopes don't necessarily seem to do much, but effort does. So I just work hard, and I'm okay with that. You can also look at your luck pillar, especially if you have a very low or a 0% of that important element, because your luck pillar may have that element. Just this past year, this calendar year, I have entered a new luck pillar that has the yang metal. It's in the hidden stem, but this is the one I need. So I have started again to try to practice manifestation. And I'm starting small, and I'm keeping a journal, paying attention to see whether or not they appear activated. Now, I'm also in a kind of a special situation because I'm not exactly sure which hour I should use because I was born only 2 minutes after an odd hour change. So that makes my birth time a little questionable. And so I have two possible directions that could possibly work for manifesting. So I'm testing them out. I flip a coin, let the universe decide which one I should use, which direction I should use. And I do that right before I want to manifest. And I do encourage you to also keep a journal and to see how well you're doing. And that's especially true if you're fairly new to this. Now, in general, your manifestations can't bring you much beyond your natal abilities without a lot of hard work. But it's doable. And you don't, especially when you start out, you don't want to ask for really huge things because it's very hard for you to convince yourself. Because remember, manifestation is speaking to your subconscious. So if you start with small goals, you can believe you can do them. And so then you can get better and better over time. If your elemental level is not at least at a medium level, really, you do want to start with smaller goals before you work up to the big ones. Now, actually doing manifestation isn't that hard. It's only a handful of actions, but it requires a bit of undisturbed time. This is probably the biggest problem today. If you have kids, you're going to have to wait until they're in school or asleep. You need to put your phone on silent or put it in another room. That's even better, probably. But definitely, you don't want to be disturbed by your phone. You're going to be finding a place anywhere in your house, it doesn't matter, or you can even do this outside, honestly, where you can sit quietly and undisturbed for about 5 to 10 minutes. Most manifestations, once you get pretty good at it, only take about 5 minutes. I wouldn't take any longer than 15. And if you can't get into the right state of mind for the manifestation, you just do it later. You just say, okay, this wasn't the right time. Don't worry about it. You should not get tense about this because that will make it harder to manifest. What you need to do is you need to have your back facing your guardian spirit direction. Now, this is a 45-degree sector, so it's pretty easy to get. But you do want to be in the sector definitely. So you want to measure and you want to aim towards the center of the sector because it means you're in full, you get the full blast of the energy. Now, you can use a compass, but if your compass reading is off of true north, you need to compensate for this. And I'll show you how to do this. I think it's relatively simple. Let's say you know that your facing direction of your house is at 4 degrees, and this comes from the satellite with the UTM to true north correction. You know that the front of your house faces 4 degrees. You go to wherever you want to do your manifestation, and you know most people have smartphones. I'm one of the few who don't, but you can just get up your compass app on your phone and take a reading, and you want to have it perpendicular to this wall, so you're trying to read what the facing direction is. Usually if it's back here, you could look at the back wall as long as you know these are parallel, or you could, you know, it's along this wall. You don't have to be perfect. Remember, we got a 45-degree window, so you can just say, okay, well, I'm parallel to this wall, close enough, good enough. Just find out whatever that reading is. For example, if it says 10 degrees, you know your compass in this location of your house, and you should, if you're over here, it may be different. So you want to do this when and where you're going to do your manifestation. And in this case, it's 6 degrees above the actual reading because it should read 4, but it's reading 10. So you know there's that error. Now, let's say you are your destiny or your natal chart says that your guardian spirit is in the west. And actually, your Batsa will tell you which direction your guardian spirit is too. So if it's in the west, it's best to aim for 270 degrees, which is straight west, full energy signal kind of thing. So you're going to be rotating your phone until it reads 96 degrees. That is the 270 plus the correction of 6 degrees minus 180, because you're going to put the phone there and you're going to face that direction along with your phone. That's the easiest way to do it. And once you found, you rotate your phone until it reads 96 degrees, you sit down with your face, in line with your phone. And that means you will be backing the true 270-degree true direction. I'm hoping this is clear enough. If it's not clear enough, I could do another video with a couple examples, but I think this is pretty clear. But let me know. Just leave a comment. Once you're in the right direction, then you need to relax and get into a receptive state of mind. You want to take slow, deep breaths. And you can count your breaths as a way to clear your mind. You can count backwards. That's better than counting forwards. To focus on something that helps clear your mind. This is what you're trying to do, is clear your mind, and the ultimate goal is you want to have your brain be in an alpha wave state. Now, unless you know for certain through test or whatever when you're in alpha wave state, this can be a little difficult. But if you've ever meditated, it's a very similar feeling to meditation. So there are guided meditations out there that I think are free on the web. I would try that if you're uncertain about this. And then you're trying to get back to that kind of state when you're going to do your manifestation. Once you're in that state, you want to state a command. This can be in your mind, it can be aloud, it doesn't matter. Do not say please. This is a command. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to increase your income. Now, if this is starting out, you're not going to make this a big number, but let's say 10%. That's doable. And you would make a statement once you're ready to, something along this lines. You would say, I want you to help me find a way to increase my income by 10%, either through a new job or a promotion. And that's it. Very simple. The simpler and clearer your command is, the more likely you are to be able to have this happen. And you want to start with a single item and don't make it complicated. Make it very simple. And you may take some time to figure out exactly what you're going to ask. You probably should do this before you try a manifestation. And you can even write it down. And when you're ready, if you had your eyes closed, open your eyes and just read it off of a card. Simple as that. And this will help you narrow down what you need. If you need a bunch of different things, do these things separately. Don't do it all in one big thing, because that will overwhelm your subconscious. It will become confused. So, one at a time. This is key. You need to take at least one action to bring you closer to your goals. So let's say it was you wanted to increase your income by 10%. Well, there's various things you can do. You can do any one of them. You could start looking for jobs online, or even in the local paper if they still do that. I don't know. But sometime as you're walking into a store that you frequent really often, if they have a help wanted sign, you could look into that. If you could also ask your boss what you need to do to improve your income, to get a promotion. You could also look into getting a side gig. I mean, anything will work, but you'd have to take one step. And the idea is that once you take that step, you will know your subconscious is going to be telling you which direction to go. I mean, if you look and you don't see any jobs out there, well, it says, okay, we got to try something else. And then you'll go on to the next one. And you'll find the answer some way. This is why the manifestation works, is because your subconscious is working on this all the time. I highly, highly recommend you keep a journal of your manifestations, especially when you're starting out, to see how well you're doing. And if you're really a beginner, you might note after you finish your manifestation, how relaxed you were when you gave the command. That's the only point that's important, when you give the command. And again, if you're new to manifestation, start with small requests and build to bigger ones. And you can start building when you start seeing positive outcomes of your manifestations. If you're not certain you're reaching an alpha wave state, you don't know what it feels like, or you find it hard to reach, there are some not terribly expensive but not terribly cheap devices out there that are basically EEG type of devices. You put something on your head and it will read your brain waves. It's a lot like a microphone, but what it's picking up is electromagnetic waves, not sound waves. But these are generally very, very safe because they're not sending out any energy. They're just listening. There are also some devices that can help tune your brain to alpha wave state. Now, I don't know how these work, but these aren't as safe as an EEG device. Now, this one, the idea is that you would maybe watch a YouTube video with a guided meditation that can help record and while you're wearing the device so that you can see once you reach this alpha wave state. And so this, it's biofeedback basically. So then once you get there, you can actually recognize the feeling, and that will help your manifestations because it really have to be in this alpha wave state to make it really work well. And it may be that if you have that 0% natural talent like I do, maybe my brain just doesn't get into the alpha wave state very easily. I've never had it measured. I'm actually considering buying one, but I would like to make a little money with the business before I do that, because I don't want to have my business lose money. Now, I think you should check with your doctor if you have any kind of medical issues, especially anything to do with your brain. So if you have like epilepsy, you're probably okay with a device that reads it, but talk to your doctor. The one that tunes your brain to an alpha state, that could be significantly more of a risk if you have epilepsy because you're dealing with your brain. But I could conceive of other problems. If you have low blood pressure, getting into this alpha wave state will lower your blood pressure even more. So you may have to take a few extra minutes after a manifestation to, bring your blood pressure back up. You move around, you stay sitting, you move around, get your blood flowing again before you stand up. It depends on what situation you're in. I'm sure that if you have high blood pressure, this is actually a good thing to do. But definitely, if you have any type of medical issues, talk to your doctor before you use a alpha wave stimulator, because this one actually sends energy into your body. This one doesn't. So that concludes this video. You can leave me a comment if you like, or if you have other questions, you can also email me. And I do have a website that's ad-free that can help you with determining your facing direction of your house, which is important for doing this. And I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope to again to see you soon.